We're about to break down a brilliantly simple, but honestly incredibly powerful time management method that millions of people swear by. It's called the Pomodoro Technique. It is an absolute game changer for focus, and yeah, we're going to cover it all in the next 5 minutes. So, to really get why this thing works so well, we first have to talk about a problem that, let's be honest, pretty much all of us are dealing with, and that's the modern focus crisis. Okay, let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar? You start your day with this perfect plan, right? But then, bam, it's 3 p.m., you feel totally fried, your attention span is just gone, and you have no idea where the hours went. If that's you, trust me, you are not alone. Yeah, the symptoms are super common. We get overwhelmed by these huge tasks, we totally underestimate how long things are going to take, and our focus just gets shattered. But here's the crazy part, the real kicker. Research shows that about half of all our workday distractions are, well, they're self-inflicted. Yep, we're the ones pulling ourselves out of the zone. And the cost of all these little distractions? It's staggering. Seriously. Research from the University of California found that after just one tiny interruption, it can take over 20 minutes to get back into that deep state of focus. Just think about that. How many times does that happen in a day? Each one of those interruptions is just draining our mental energy way more than we realize. So what's the fix for this constant distraction? Well, it's not some fancy, complicated new app. It's not a $100 planner. The solution? It actually started with a super simple tool you probably have sitting in your kitchen right now. Okay, picture this. It's the late 1980s. There's this university student, Francesco Cirillo, and he is just feeling completely overwhelmed. So to fight off procrastination, he makes this simple little bet with himself. He asks, can I just focus, like really focus, for just 10 minutes? He looks around, grabs the only timer he can find, and it's a kitchen timer shaped like a tomato, a Pomodoro in Italian. And just like that, the rest is productivity history. And that really gets us to the core idea here. See, the Pomodoro Technique, it's not really about managing time. It's about managing your focus. It just uses a simple timer to break your work down into these focused 25-minute sprints. And each one of those sprints is called a Pomodoro. Okay, so how does this thing actually work in practice? Well, the real power of the method is that it's just this incredibly simple, repeatable 5-step process. So here's the cycle. It's super straightforward. First, you pick one task, just one. Then, you set your timer for 25 minutes, and you give that single task your absolute, undivided attention. That means no email, no social media, nothing. When that timer rings, you stop, you mark that you completed one Pomodoro, and you take a quick 5-minute break. Now, after you've done 4 of these cycles, you get to take a longer break, maybe 15 to 30 minutes to really recharge. And that's it. That's the whole rhythm. Work, rest, repeat. Now, to make this work even better, there are basically 3 key rules. Rule 1, if a project is massive, just break it down into smaller steps that can actually fit into a Pomodoro. Rule 2, for all those tiny little tasks, answering a quick email or making an appointment, just batch them all together into one 25-minute session. And rule 3, and this is the most important one, you have to protect the Pomodoro. Once that timer starts, you are locked in. If some other idea or task pops into your head, don't worry, just write it down on a deal with it later list and get right back to what you were doing. I know what you're thinking. This all sounds really simple, right? Maybe even too simple to work. But trust me, there's some really powerful psychology going on here that explains why this little timer trick has such a huge impact on our ability to actually get stuff done. So the real magic of this method is how it manages your energy. Think about it. Instead of your workday being this long, draining marathon, it becomes a series of short, focused sprints, followed by actual recovery time. And it's that rhythm that stops that awful mental fatigue, that burnout that so many of us feel hitting us like a truck around 3 p.m. So what's happening in each of those 25-minute sprints? A lot, actually. It's creating this productive urgency, which is basically the perfect antidote to procrastination. It forces you to take breaks, and those breaks aren't lazy. They are absolutely essential for your brain to recharge. And it kind of gamifies your day. Every time you finish a Pomodoro, it's a small win, and those little wins build up your motivation and keep you going. And all of this leads to this really profound shift in your mindset. Like the creator said, time stops being this negative thing that you're always losing. Instead, it becomes a positive way to measure what you've actually accomplished. Suddenly, time isn't your enemy anymore. It's not a source of anxiety. It's just a reflection of your focus, and you are back in the driver's seat. But here's a really important thing to remember. The Pomodoro Technique is a flexible framework. It's not some rigid, one-size-fits-all rulebook. So let's talk about how you can actually adapt it to fit your personal work style. So yeah, the classic 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. That's the standard, but it might not be perfect for everything you do. Let's say you're doing some medium depth work, you could try a 50-minute sprint with a 10-minute break. Or for that really deep, creative work where you need a while to get into a flow state, maybe a 90-minute session with a 20-minute break is your sweet spot. The point is, you have to experiment. You gotta find the rhythm that really works for you. All right, you wanna take this to the next level? Here are 3 pro tips to really master this. First, be super intentional with your breaks. I mean, actually step away from your screen. Go stretch, grab some water, rest your eyes. Just please avoid the trap of doom scrolling social media. It doesn't actually rest your brain at all. Second, try planning your entire day in Pomodoros. Just estimating how many 25-minute blocks a task will take makes your to-do list so much more realistic. And finally, this one's a game changer. It's called overlearning. Use the very last minute of a session to quickly review what you just did. It sounds small, but it dramatically improves how much you remember and makes it way easier to jump into the next thing. So, after all this, there's really only one question left. Are you ready to actually try it? Look, don't just think about it. Do it. I'm serious. Look at your to-do list right now. Pick that one thing that's been bugging you, that you've been putting off, and just give it one 25-minute Pomodoro. So what's it going to be? What one task are you going to conquer today?